Since making these videos and being very public about the fact that I take antidepressants, it has shocked me the amount of people who are also taking SSRIs. And it shouldn't, but basically everybody that I talk to is taking SSRIs. And it took me making these videos and hanging myself out there publicly, openly like this, practically naked, metaphorically, telling people about the medications that I've taken, SSRIs, to get other people to open up and tell me that they are also, and everybody that I know is taking these or has taken them or is planning to. The entire world is taking these things. I mean, 1 billion people worldwide are now taking these SSRIs. Every second person you meet is on them. And yet, nobody admits to it. Nobody talks about it. And why is that? And it occurred to me recently that people would be more comfortable and freer to talk about taking cocaine than they would taking SSRIs. It would be possibly more easy for people to open up to their friends and tell them that they're taking street drugs than it would to tell them that they're taking antidepressants. And it's a shocking reality, and it's very difficult to understand. And I don't take street drugs myself, but there's very widespread use of them, and there is less of a stigma sometimes, I feel, about those than there is about SSRIs, which is shocking. And I don't know why the answer to that is. Maybe, and I think one possible answer, is that people feel if they're taking SSRIs that they're admitting a certain amount of defeat, failure, or inadequacy. There's the stigma of saying I am mentally ill, first of all, myself, which the first stigma of that. But then there's a further stigma, I think, that you should be meditating it all away or mindfully putting it all away. And I've done a video on 15 things that I do for my mental health. And a lot of those things, basically I do everything that I can. I'll throw everything into the basket. But always, I think I need a certain amount of medication there as well. And I'm freely willing to admit that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything weak about you, but I sense that that's possibly what people feel, that they should be doing Kundalini yoga, but they're taking an SSRI instead, and they feel a certain amount of guilt that they're not in a steam room at 100 degrees Celsius doing yoga and meditating the depression away. That's possibly one thing that I feel, but it's shocking that I think a lot of people would be more comfortable talking about street drugs and admitting use of street drugs, which, let's face it, are corrosive and will destroy your life and lead to the destruction of not just yourself but all those around you. And addiction is something that leads to all the trauma, and that's why people like myself have to take SSRIs in the end and find themselves in this hole. And yet people feel there's a certain edginess still to saying you take street drugs, and it kind of projects people. I think they feel they're projecting themselves as being cool or hard or edgy and maybe even modern, that they've rejected all this old-fashioned idea that street drugs are bad for you and they're modern and enlightened, which is entire bullshit in my opinion. But I suspect that there is that kind of culture coming in society now. Whereas taking SSRIs is kind of like admitting, oh, you're sponsoring big pharma and you're kind of the opposite of all of that cool, cultured, yoga, mat carrying, a spiritual person, and that you have to rely on big pharma to give you the leg up. And I have no problem admitting that I rely on big pharma and the products they are giving me in order to live a normal life and give me that little leg up. And you shouldn't either. It's a stigma upon a stigma upon a stigma. That's what that is. And I don't think we should buy into it. Do you? Let me know in the comments about that, and I'll see you next time.